Simon, for the last 7 seasons, an Irish head coach has had embarrassment of riches in midfield, particularly with the Gary Ringrose and Robbie Henshaw's and Buddy Aki in particular. But rarely are they all three been fit, but they are this week. What made you decide, a little bit more into why we went with Bundy this time?
Why we went with Bundy at 12? He's had some big gains for Ireland in big games, if that makes sense. And he's the type of guy that other players look to, and he responds to that pressure and responds to the responsibility of playing well in big games. He is in a really competitive position. Robbie's been playing really well for Leinster there, whether he's playing at 12 or 13, and obviously Gary as well, whether he's playing at 13 or on the wing. But we felt like that sort of physicality was something that Bundy could bring. He's dynamic, but he has had some big gains for Ireland over the last couple of seasons, and feel like he will, along with Gary and Robbie, they'll all play a part in the Six Nations. So this selection is one, but it could well change next week and so forth. And I think having the three of them with other guys in the mix as well over the next few weeks will be really important to our success this year.
And a different team altogether. There's been a lot of debate about the Aviva atmosphere, or lack thereof. I know you probably don't want to be critical of a home crowd, but how big a factor can they be? What you hope it will be like in Saturday for Ireland England opening Six Nations game?
Listen, I don't expect this place not to be anything other than bouncing on Saturday. It's England at home, first game of the Six Nations. I think it's so exciting to have this first up, and this victory will always create a little bit more interest. But to have it first up at home in a stadium that the players love playing in, and I feel like when we've played well and we've given the crowd that type of atmosphere, type of sort of experience on the pitch, then they've bought into it and they've generated a brilliant atmosphere. So we have a responsibility, I guess, as a team to make sure that we get the crowd on side and we get them with us and make sure that we use that to our advantage. We're a little bit detached sometimes in the box, and that sometimes is something that we don't always get the feel for, but certainly I feel like on Saturday at 4:45 this place will be bouncing, and we need to make sure we take advantage of that.
It's Cian and Brendan.
Simon, how do you see the development of the attack without Andy's? Is Andrew now taking on more responsibility? Are you doing more attack with your players, or how's it kind of working going?
Yeah, no, it's a good point, and Goody's been excellent. I guess he was first in the summer. He kind of shadowed and helped out with Catty and Faz, and then came in the autumn, and he had some really good ideas around us continuing to do what we did really well, but also starting to evolve the team. And I think he feels like now there's a much better sort of, we've seen that progression come through now. Some of the provincial performances in areas that we've been trying to develop as well has helped that. So yeah, Goody's certainly stepped up and taken on more responsibility. Obviously Johnny's been around and been giving us his input into how we're going to play the game in attack, and those are invaluable. Those little chats, those experiences that he and Goody have been able to impart on players. Goody's got the experience of working with a lot of them anyway, so that's just an extension of some of the work he's done with Leinster over the last couple of seasons with a lot of our backline players. But certainly it's been an exciting period for us because Faz hasn't been around, that we've all had to step up in different areas to make sure that we feel like we prepared the team in the right way.
Just an obvious one, momentum is obviously crucial in this tournament. How important is getting off to a positive start here?
Yeah, I think Six Nations is always about momentum. It's about building that, and often teams come into it off the back of a November series that hasn't gone quite as well, but yet you get a good start and you build that momentum. Before you know it, you're 2 or 3 games in, and you're looking at the other end of the tournament when there's something to really play for and silverware. So we understand how important starting well is to us as a team. And yeah, it's certainly something that we've spoken about, but it'll only happen, and it'll only be we'll only get the right result if we do put that performance in that we know we can, and that's the challenge for us on Saturday.
Thank you. Brendan?
Simon, you mentioned the changes that Andy made post 2019, and that as a younger coach you didn't really have a feel for that, some of the change that he made. I'm wondering if that experience subsequent had helped you in managing situations like you have two out-halves going hammer and tongs for the one position, and how you manage the downside for the guy who gets left out.
Yeah, I guess it's just I think as a young coach, as a young head coach, as I was at the club, you're trying to do everything, and you're trying to look at every part of the game, and you end up not being able to see the woods from the trees. It's kind of all consuming. But I think over a period of time, you realise what you can do, what you can share with other coaches. But I think that over time, you develop a feel for players and what they're going through, and how you can support that and impact that. And yes, there's always tactical and technical things that you want to keep strong in your side. But I think it's those conversations that you have with players, the chats that you have over a period of time, that allows you to kind of get a feel for that player, and then you hopefully get the best out of them, whether they're starting, whether they're on the bench, whether they're not involved at all. I think all those micro conversations are really important for the feel of the team and the feel of the group. And I think when Faz came in 2019, he just shifted the emphasis a little bit in the group, and I think the players and us as coaches have all benefited from that.
Simon, England have actually made a bit of a habit of naming their team on the Tuesday. They went again a bit by surprise this week. I just wonder, from an opposition perspective, how much benefit do those 48 hours give you in terms of analysis, preparation, because you can actually be specific, and then also selection. You had to make a late change after Joe was out. You can factor all those things in with certainty rather than guesswork. What benefit do you get from it?
Listen, I think knowing that team early, it just gave us a little bit more of an indication on how they might play the game. But it didn't change our sort of strategy or mentality for how we want to play the game this week. And then yes, you lose a player late, and that happens. The game isn't perfect, and there's always going to be bumps in the road that you need to make sure that you can either avoid, or if you do get one, you adapt and you move on as quick as you can. So yeah, listen, it's up to them if they want to release it. Whenever they release it, that's their call. And we focused a lot this last sort of 11 days that we've been together on what we do best, and part of that is how we deal with them, certainly, but most of that is how we put our own game into practice.
Thanks, Brendan.
Simon, we talk with Sam as if he's kind of the man born, like he arrived fully formed onto the scene, but how much growth have you seen him from emerging Ireland or even November?
Yeah, the emerging was great. For us as coaches to get to work with him and get to know him, more importantly, I think, as a person, and he's laid back in a sense that he's pretty chilled and he goes about his business. But I think any 10 that really wants to progress and kick on has to grab hold of weeks like this and say, this is my team. I'm going to go out and have no. There's going to be no kind of grey around who's in charge and what the point of the week is and how he wants to lead the team. And I think he's done that really well. Jack's been brilliant as well, to be fair to him, and having Kieran Foley there. So I think there's a degree of competitiveness in Sam, which you guys might not see. I think probably having Cian as a brother probably helps, and he's kind of grown up having to fight his way through a few situations. But in terms of him as a person, he's grown massively, hasn't he, over the last 6 months, 8 months, he's had massive experiences. We had him on the emerging, and he played 2 games in 5 days, and I had a conversation with him about playing another game, so it was maybe 3 games in 8 days, and I said, "How are you feeling?" He goes, "I'm good. I want to play," and that was his attitude. He just wanted to go out and play, and he has that kind of youthful, inexperience, which is a nice thing as well, because he doesn't let many things faze him. He moves on from something that's gone maybe not quite as well as he would have liked. He kicks on, and he doesn't let those things get to him, and that's a real strong trait in good 10s. They're demanding of themselves and players around them, but also has a very nice way about him, and deals with stuff and moves on quickly, and I think we've seen all of that over the last few months.
Shane?
Hi Simon, how is Sam managing, I suppose, the external attention and scrutiny that's come on just in the last 3 or 4 months? I guess that's the one thing he or the camp can't control. How does he deal with that?
If you saw him in camp, you wouldn't think there was any outside scrutiny. I don't know how much he reads or takes interest in sort of that sort of degree of interest. So as far as we're concerned, if he does take it in, he's dealing with it pretty well.
Thanks. Last 2 questions here.
Hi. How important is it that you've got someone like Johnny Sexton in the camp to help these young guys? Because it's not one of the few areas where you're not particularly blessed with experience.
Yeah. I think any group that would have someone like Johnny around would benefit. He's been excellent in just those little conversations around different pressure points that might come in the game that players in the position that he played in would have felt, and unless you played in that position, it's probably hard to always try and sort of reflect and try and give advice to people. He also has a really good way about him in terms of seeing the game in the bigger picture around, he as a 10 would know that it's important that he sees stuff, but also important that other players around him see stuff, and he's not just him on his own. And that again has been something that other players have developed, that feel of supporting our 10s in the way they play the game. So yeah, Johnny has hopefully really enjoyed the experience so far. He's still on that sort of learning curve as a coach and a mentor, and it's been a real sort of added benefit for us as a coaching group and as a team having him involved.